Assalamualaikum and good morning. So for today webinar topic, the topic is designing online tests. The presenter is Professor Dr. Siti Aisyah binti Mohsin. Professor Dr. Siti Aisyah is a professor in UPSI from Department of Educational Studies, Faculty of Human Development. She holds a PhD in Education, Statistics and Research from University of Iowa in 2002. She has been involved in many collaborative researchers projects funding by many institutions and have been published lots of publication in assessment. So without further ado, I pass this session to Prof. Aisyah.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you PPA for inviting me for this morning session. I must say that I'm not an expert in online assessment. I have not tried it myself, but of course we have experiences sitting in online assessment. So I'll share with you whatever little knowledge that I have, and I hope that will sort of trigger healthy discussion among us, and hopefully we'll achieve something at the end of the session. Okay, and I'm now trying to share my slide. So I think at the moment we have all these in our Performa or CLO course outline. We have done the mapping. We know what type of teaching assessment, teaching methods, what kind of assessment. The problem is that with the COVID-19 pandemic now, kita pun tak tahu how to conduct the peperiksaan akhir because the students are no longer in campus. They'll be away in their homes and we won't be seeing them until probably next year. So the issue is that how are we going to conduct the final exam? I think that's the concern for most of us. Those who have the final exam stated in their proforma or the learning assessment. The rest, I think, shouldn't be much problems because tugasan kita dah beri whatever, whether it is individual or group work. It's just that with the current situation, it's kind of hard for the students to meet, and probably we have to sort of make some adjustment to the assignments that we give, and also probably students are not able to go out to collect data, so they have to find alternatives how to get the data through online measures and so on. But the focus for today's discussion is on how do we replace this final exam. Basically, this is our agenda for this morning. I've done the introduction. So we are going to talk about these ways to measure student knowledge, skills, and attitude. And we're also going to talk about the different types of examination. So basically I've done the introduction, and after this I move to the ways to measure students' knowledge, skills, and or attitudes. Later we move to final exam versus alternative assessment. Then we'll be talking about different types of exams. We'll also be looking at types of questions, steps of test construction, and then Q&A before we conclude the session. Basically, there are many ways to assess students' knowledge, skills, and attitudes. We have this in place. We have done all this. Sometimes we give them the assignments, many types of different assignments. Even though we write the assignment 1, 2, 3, but in the description there, in the MySys, we have to write the detail or choose the detail what it is about. And then we have also mini projects. We have hands-on or experiments. We also have like oral presentation. We have exhibition or performance. If you look at the Faculty of Performing Arts, Faculty of Seni Persembahan and Music, we used to be invited to their final performance, final assessment, whereby the students themselves conduct the performance, everything from A to Z. So it's very interesting. I've seen that many times. Okay, and another type is the final exam that we are concerned with at the moment. Jadi kalau kita tengok ni, all these other types ni, this actually belong to what we call alternative assessment. It is called alternative assessment because it is an alternative to paper pencil testing, alternative to final exams. And sometimes it is also called performance-based because students have to perform something to demonstrate their understanding, their knowledge, their skills, and attitudes. So so forth. Okay, so basically these are two groups of assessment, two big groups. One is alternative assessment, which comprises of so many types, which is non-exam, and the other one is the final exam. But for many years, I think for many decades, have been, I think, putting too much emphasis on the final exam, but only like in the last few decades, we moving to the alternative assessment. Except for courses like probably TVET and so on, they have done this for many years, so it's not something alien to them. But I think in UPSI currently we also have like several courses which do not have final exams, and that's perfectly all right because there are many ways of, as I said earlier, assessing students' knowledge or skills or even attitudes, and we don't have to depend solely on final exam. But if we decide to have final exam in our course, there must be reasons why, and also all right, there's nothing wrong with it. Because each of these types, they have the strength and weaknesses, the limitations, the advantages, and so on. Whatever assessment that we choose, for me, I think there are several ways of looking at it. It is an assessment, it has purposes. So, like in any activity, we always start with the objective. Like in Islam, kita mula dengan niat, kan? Okay. So in assessment, it always starts with the objective as the purpose of having the assessment. In the alternative assessment, we also have questions or instruction, describe the task to be completed by the students. And also we have to prepare the rubrics or the scoring guides. And then we have to talk about the administration, when they have to conduct those assessment, or how long, who, is it individual, is it group, and where they have to collect the data and so on. Or maybe sometimes they have to do it at the lab, or sometimes they have to go to the field to collect data. And then another thing is that submission. How should they present their work once they completed the work? So how are they going to submit to the instructor? The same thing goes for final exam. We also need a set of questions or test booklet. We need the answer for MCQ, item keys, or probably in structured or essay type of questions. We need the marking scheme, and then the administration also. We have to think of when, for how long, who. Of course, it has to be done individual, no discussion and so on. Where this is where BHEA normally will release the timetable and so on, and the place, the venue of exams, and then the submission. Okay. So basically, the process are more or less the same, even though there are differences in the details of these types. Okay. And then there are several considerations when deciding what type of assessment that we would like to give to our students. This includes the students' background and environment, also the measurement objective. This is of course where we always start with this one, and then students' time and lecturers' time as well. If we are to give them like all assignments, very tough one, taking a lot of time, and then we also need time to grade those assignments and so on. So we have to consider all this, how many assignments we give for that particular course and so on. And also we have to look at the topics to be covered in those assessments. And next is the availability of resources, and also sometimes we ask students to create something, say kit media and so on, for example, for the KPD, right, for the course of technology pengajaran and assessment. Okay. So we have to consider that whether all the materials needed around them are they available or in the market, or if it is, and then we have to think about the cost. This is very costly. For education courses, probably it's not that costly, but for courses like probably science, and then pure sciences, and also the performing side, or those that needs instrument and so on. So we have to consider all factors actually. We are now focusing on exam. Okay? So our concern now is about final exam. So we'll be talking about the variation of exams that we might have. Okay, two big groups. That one is the conventional exam in a hall or in a room with the invigilators, with the assistant, and so on, where the invigilator will read the instruction to the students, where the assistants will check whether or not students bring in materials such as textbook notes and so on, and we have to make sure that they don't cheat. And another type is also held in a room, but it's open book. They are allowed to bring books, notes, and so on. I remember last time we're in school, the use of calculator was strictly prohibited. So we were not allowed to bring calculator to into the exam hall that time, because the purpose is, of course, they want to measure certain skills in the students, like for instance in mathematics they want the students to be able to do multiplication, division, and so on without the use of calculator. But to now I think calculators are allowed into the exam hall. So those are rules regulation for that particular exam, so that's fine. So basically we have like conventional versus online. We are familiar with this conventional examination. Even in the conventional exam, whereby the students have to be in their room or exam hall, we also have two types. One is closed book, the other one is open book, whereby the students can bring in the resources, notes, and so on. The other one that we might want to explore with the current situation of the pandemic COVID-19 is the online assessment. This is something, I mean, quite new to many of us, including me. Okay, because in the past probably there was no urgency to conduct this online testing, because the students were all in campus. We can conduct exam the conventional way. Okay, so in the online kind of exam, also we have like the closed book, whereby we don't allow students to refer to any books or notes or any materials. And the other one is the opposite, the open book, whereby we allow those references to books and materials. This is the open book. Open book is an exam where students are allowed to bring notes, texts, books, memory aids, and or other resources into the exam room. It tests students' ability to find and apply information and knowledge. That's why the type of questions that we ask the students is very, very critical here. It's often used in subjects requiring direct reference to written materials like law, statutes, statistics, whereby we normally ask the students to refer to the distribution tables and so on. And we want them to be able to locate the information and use those information to solve the problem. Or sometimes we want the students in some other courses to refer to acts of parliament and so on. So the type of questions for open books normally is like from understanding questions up to application, analysis, evaluation, creative synthesis or creating, or more complex problem solving involving combination of these skills. Okay, the other one is the closed book. Closed book is the opposite, just now I said, whereby the student are not allowed to bring text, notes, books, memory aids, and or other resources into the room. So the level of questions that you can ask them, you can ask from the memory, knowledge kind of questions, up to more complex problem solving skills involving combination of those earlier skills. I think I would like to open the session about 5 minutes to any response, opinion, questions before we move to the other slides.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Shakira here.
Yeah.
Okay, Prof. About the closed book test, I think in face-to-face condition, I think this approach is easier to be conducted.
Right.
However, in this situation where the students are not in front of us, how can we conduct this kind of closed book test or exam? If a lecturer were to conduct this closed book test, what is your advice to them?
At the moment, the conventional kind of closed book exam is impossible because they are not here. We have to do it online. But even though it is online, we can do it the closed book type. Just that there are several precautions that we have to take to minimize the chance of cheating and so on. A real conventional closed book exam is not possible. Probably what is possible is online closed book test.
Yes, Prof. However, if we were to have this online closed book exam, then I think it's also a tough thing to do as well, because it's very difficult to ensure that there's no notes involved. There's no even opening other web page also not involved. Challenging,
Yeah, it is challenging. That's why another option would be probably online and open book test. Okay, but even if you conduct that one, of course there are challenges that we have to face and measures that we have to take to minimize the cheating and so on. Any more questions? I'll move to that in the short while. I understand your concern, also my own concern. This is something new, and we are still struggling to how do we ensure that it is the students themselves who answer the questions, not someone else, because we don't see them. That's why in the last week's slot, someone was asking or suggesting, I think, he read somewhere that is it possible, if it is possible, we can ask the students to sit in front of their computer with the video on so that we can see them. That's one suggestion made by one participant last week. I may not be able to answer all your questions. Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you for your presentation. When I discussed with some of my friends who are lecturer in Mediu, Inshallah, is online based university, I was told that what they do normally is that they request the student to find some centers or tuition centers or some lecturers who can guarantee the supervision of the examination. Then, based on the written letter to them, then they will allow the lecturer or anybody who's having center to supervise them. If you can take this one into consideration, maybe it may help us to some certain extent.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Yeah, it is good. It's just that we have to consider also movement is quite limited at the moment. So students cannot really move even to centers and so on.
Yeah, and maybe they look for some teachers, some lecturers who are close to them, and they guarantee that they are going to supervise the exam. Then based on that, they give them a written letter, then they approve it. The university will approve them to be supervisor for the examination.
Okay, yeah.
The investigator.
Yeah, the problem with this arrangement is that, again, because students are not very mobile in this situation now, current situation. So probably, and also it will be involving other parties and so on. It's not as easy, you know, and when we want to really conduct it, you know. So, but yeah, but we can think about it. After this, we'll look at the options and probably we can think of the most viable for us to conduct this exam. Of course, the worst case scenario is that if we really cannot do it, there are options like to replace it with another short project or so on. Okay, that's the last option that we have. But in the exams, of course, shortly we'll talk about the having we give them different tests, but they are of similar difficulty and similar specification table and so on. So that's another option to try and reduce this problem of cheating and to increase the validity of the assessment.
Assalamualaikum. No, Dr. Fatima. Okay. Just now I heard Dr. Yunus, Muhammad Yunus from, he mentioned about Mediu, the Medina University. Yes, it's very difficult. I have an experience with one student. He was wife of our OPSI lecturer because they are housed in Tanjung Mali. So the Medina University asked her to looking for any lecturer nearby her house. Then she came to my office. The Medina University asked me to be an examiner, but I think it's quite difficult because maybe I'm friend of her. Maybe I'm not. You know, I will check with her together, but of course there's honesty, and that's why I think can be an experience, but quite bit difficult. Okay. One more question. I have a question is, how about, because since some of the students, since our lecture also, they don't have internet, or even so they have internet, but the internet is not stable. How will be going to test online?
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatima for MBK. Let me move to this one. Okay. So I want to go back a bit to this one. So the option that we might want to use at the moment is the online test. And next we have to ask whether it's going to be closed book, because even if it is closed book, it's difficult to monitor to ensure that the students do not refer to any other references or textbook or notes and so on, because they are not in front of us. And then if you want to do it open book, so how do we ensure that cheating is minimized? Okay, so after hearing from Dr. Muhammad Yusuf, okay, so these are some tips of online tests, how to prevent cheating in an online. I got this also from internet. First is, of course, we don't allow participants to copy paste. We have to tell them clearly that if they found them copy and paste, then the marks will not be given. And also we can control by giving the type of questions that's not possible for them to copy the answer from elsewhere. So partly we can control from the type of questions that we ask them. Okay, number 2 is randomized questions. When taking tests, participants are often getting asked questions in the same sequence. This is a problem because they can share the answer with other friends, okay, and so on. And then the sequence are the same. Another way of doing it is to set a timer. Because if you want to cheat, we need some time to cheat, just like lying. We have to create the idea and so on. This is where I think the most important thing is that asking problem solving questions, or at least application type of questions, analysis and so on, that they cannot copy directly from elsewhere the answer. Another one is the submission view. It is advised that the instructor should hide the answers so that they cannot check whether or not the answers are correct or wrong before the exam is completed. And also another way is by autocomplete. This is also inserting timer actually in the test. And another option that I just learned last night was using Safe Exam browser. If we look at the internet, type this Safe Exam browser, I think the history started in 2008, December 2008, and then they have moved on. They have done several revisions, modification, upgrading, and so on until 2020. I think the latest was May 2nd, during this NCO time. They had this a Safe Exam browser modified. The new version was coming out, but what I didn't know is that I have not explored deeply into this. Probably our friends from the technical side, the ICT and so on, they can explore. And I also don't know whether we need to subscribe to this, but it is possible because it tries to control all the concern in the online test, and it's trying to prevent all these things that we try to mention just now. Okay, and this was first used in 2009 in Zurich. Okay, so they conducted this. So maybe with that browser, students, there's no way for the students to cheat, to easily copy paste from elsewhere to Google and so on. I'm not sure how it works. Okay.
And we have another question from Dr. Mashita. How about students need to record themselves when sitting for the exam?
You mean this is like verbally?
I think they're using a webcam.
So how do we send the question to them? Is it also through the webcam? You give the questions?
Maybe online, and they either cite a student need to turn on the camera and answer all the question.
So they don't have to write or on the computer, or they don't have to answer. They don't use the keyboard as at all, or what? They just answer verbally.
Maybe they use My Guru, and in the same time they turn on the camera, so that the lecturer can assist them synchronously. Is it possible?
Yeah, I think in this situation, first we have to ask, why do we have to do that? Secondly, probably it's because of the internet connection and so on, not very stable. I don't know, I'm not sure. Secondly, what are the challenges? And then what advantages or disadvantages that the student will have? Is it for the whole group or just one student? Few students, I mean, that really have problem with the internet. Also, if we read somewhere, shortly, I'll show shortly, it is not advisable to release all the question at once, you know. So in this situation, probably we have to release the question item by item. And I'm not sure whether I get the question correctly. The issue is that, can you, Mashita, are you there? Can you please explain how you plan to do it so that I get a clearer picture?
Okay, Assalamualaikum, Prof. So basically my question is just like maybe they are doing online tests, but then because of it's very hard for us to monitor them because of course they can cheat whatever. So they have to record. They might use webcam, for example, or maybe they can use like their handphone maybe to record how while sitting for the exam. So so they have to submit us that video as a proof that they don't cheat during the exam. So that is actually my question, whether is it possible to use video to record the students when they are actually answering the questions.
Thank you, Dr. Mashita. Very good idea. I think this is my personal view. I think I tend to agree with you, because that way we are more confident that yes, it is they themselves who attempted the questions. It's not someone else. Do I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, welcome. So I'll be talking about the process of test construction. First of all, I would say that to me, whether it is online or offline, the process of test construction, the processes are the same. Okay, we have to start with the analyzing the proforma, the CLO, and then we have to analyze the syllabus or the content and so on. And then we'll start working on how we are going to develop the test. So basically, this is common for all type of tests. In fact, even if we do alternative assessment as well, we are following these steps. If we follow like standards in test construction, maybe we follow Miller or some other friends, we have like 10, 12 steps, and we have the pilot and so on, but that's more of like developing standard testing, you know. So probably in our work as a lecturer, in assessing our students, these steps are quite sufficient for us to follow. Okay, so first we'll look at the target CLO for the final exam. Is it a knowledge, understanding, or is it for higher order thinking skills? And then we'll decide the test topics, what topics that we will test the students. Okay, and next we have to decide the measurement objective. What is this is detailed. So in measurement objective, normally we are combining these two, the target CLO and also the content, a bit of the contents there in the measurement objective. Next, we have to decide on the assessment type. This is where we want to have like the online exam. We want to have a alternative assessment. We have to have we want to have like open book and so on. And all this information, the one that's marked with the asterisk here, this information is available in our test specification table. So strictly speaking, that developing test specification table, or we call it JSU, is a must in the process of test construction, because this actually will establish the content validity of the test. we are not talking about the quality of the items yet, because the quality of the items most often is depending on the skills of the developer. Okay, I give you one classic example. It's like test specification table is like just like you want to purchase laptop or a house. We do not see the house yet. It's not ready yet. But by looking at the specification, we'll make a commitment. Okay, so we look at the space, the land area, the how many rooms, how many bathrooms, and so on, and then the finishing as well. But sometimes, even though we like the spec, when the real house is ready, it's not, the finishing is not like what we anticipated, not what is promised in the spec. Okay, so because this one is another thing, this is depends on the competency of the item writer. Okay, that's why after having the test specification table, we have another processes like vetting, for verification, checking, and so on. Okay, so that's how we actually trying to establish the reliability, the validity of the test. Any question here?
My question to you, Prof, is that
Yeah.
For the closed book online,
Okay.
do we need to have it synchronously, meaning that students have, we have got to schedule that everyone has got to be on time, the same time, doing the exam the same time, and finish at the same time as well, even though they are elsewhere?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Raja. Ideally, it would be good if you can have it at the same time, so that at least you will minimize the chance of cheating and so on. Okay, but again, if that is not possible, like what Dr. Mashita suggested, we will ask them to videotape their session in answering the questions. If in that case, yeah, you might want to allow them to have it at different times. But the worry is that they can share, the questions with other friends. So of course the best is having it at the same time. But in cases where it is not possible, probably you might want to give them another type of test of similar difficulty. So it's just like, remember in Teams we have like 12 bullets, so we don't know, even the person sitting next to us, they'll be getting another set of questions. But we have to make sure that those questions are of same difficulty and same level. Okay, so using the same GSs.
Another question would be, meaning that if you are going to do it synchronously, does it mean that BHEA is going to arrange or schedule the students, or because, how would we know that maybe other courses would do the same at the same time and whatnot?
I tend to agree with you. Somehow.
Prof, can I give some input on that scheduling?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, inshallah, BHEA will release the draft for the exam timetable sometimes in week 9, I think, and they will confirm the schedule on week 11, inshallah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Shakira. So we'll move to the next one. So these are probably some tips in designing open book exams. We talk about the type of questions just now. Try to avoid questions that will require students to memorize knowledge kind of questions. Okay, because that one will, I think, increase the chance of cheating. Okay. And also sharing with other friends. So this, I think, maybe, I don't know whether I want to go one by one or I'll just go very quickly. Structure your exam questions around problem-based scenario or real-world cases, requiring students to apply their skills and knowledge. So this is understandable, okay, because it's open book, so we have to make sure that the questions cannot be answered easily just by reproducing copy paste from the text and so on. Second, provide information or background information on given topic or area of study. This is like normally when we do alternative assessment, we give the preamble, the scenario. So this also happens in the ASIC type of questions or structured questions. Present relevant qualitative or quantitative data and then ask students interpretive and application questions. This is still understanding what does the data show, what relevance does this to the data or the scenario have in terms of component of the topics. And then what other factors could potentially affect this data? So these are all questions that we might want to ask or we can ask in the open book exam. And also structure content of topic questions in a way that tests for an ability to apply, analyze, evaluate, create, or interpret. Okay, or even solving problem. So this is like a revision of Bloom revised taxonomy. We have first at the first level we have the knowing and remembering, recall knowledge of subject matter relevant to discussion. So if we are going to have a open book online, so try to avoid this. What, where, who, when, even if it is like offline, in open book exam, we really don't want this type of questions, okay? Because we do want to encourage the students to just locate the information and put it back in the answer. Okay, the second level is understanding, whereby the students have to demonstrate understanding by constructing meaning from information in their own words. Explain how. What did X mean? Give an example of. So they have to give their own example. So if they can do this, meaning that they really understand the content. And also questions requiring students to interpret. Okay, probably sometimes we provide graphs, charts, and so on, and we ask them to interpret. So that kind of questions, this is understanding questions. The next level is application level, whereby students have to apply knowledge, whether it's principle, concept, and so on, and understanding to a particular task or problem. So we can ask questions like, how would you use? What example can you find? How will you solve? So we can ask in many different ways. I think the most critical is that for us to really understand what does application question means. The keyword in the application level is actually asking students to apply principle or concept in a new situation. That's the keyword for application question. So those are not the question, the situation given in class, discussed elsewhere, or discussed in the textbook and so on. So it's really new situation, and we normally don't tell them what principle or what concept to be used, but they have to determine what concept and then apply to the situation to solve the problem. The next level of question is the analysis level, whereby the mental process that happens there is that students have to break down the information into smaller parts. That's why I think normally what we do is that when I share with friends or even my students, I would ask them to try to attempt the question themselves, and they will know in the process from the steps whether they have to break down the information, because otherwise it does not involve breaking down the information into smaller parts. It will just become an understanding level questions. So some of the example could be like what are the features, what are the competing arguments, compare and contrast, what is the relationship between A and B, which is the strongest argument. So in answering these questions, in trying to attempt these questions, they have to break down the information into smaller parts, even if like you ask them to compare and contrast. So they have to analyze from a certain standpoint, a certain viewpoint, certain aspect, and so on. The next two levels, one is the evaluating level, and I think the other one is the creating. I would also like to remind us and myself especially that this level does not determine the difficulty of the items. It is just refer to the mental processes that happen in attempting these questions. The real difficulty of the questions can only be analyzed after the students has responded to the items, we have got the answer, then they analyze, they do item analysis, then only we know which items are the toughest. Okay, so this is basically giving us the we tend to assume that the higher the level is, the tougher it is, but it depends on the context, because this refers to the actually the mental processes that happens in the mind, in our mind. So for the evaluating question, this is a situation or questions that require the students to make judgment about the concept or ideas. We ask them to compare the good and the bad, which one is more beneficial, untung rugi and so on, which is the best method, which is the strongest argument. So they have to evaluate. So if they have to do this, then yes, that's the evaluating questions that we ask them. I think a couple of times people ask me like, what is the most suitable questions? Is for the diploma level, is it only for until knowledge and understanding, or we can ask higher level than that, analysis, application, and so on? My response was that, remember when we were in preschool, we used to play, what do you call it, puzzle, joining the puzzle together, building shapes and so on. Those are synthesis level. So in terms of the mental processes, we have done that even in the lowest level of education. But the difficulty, the complexity of the puzzles, of course, of the questions are different. Okay, so that's what I meant, that we do not have to confine ourselves like preschool level should be this, diploma level should be this, degree levels should be this, and so on. Don't hold on to that one so much, because what is more important is I think what differs is the complexity of the task that you are giving the students. It's not the mental process that involved. Okay, probably back to my class example just now. In preschool, when we want to do puzzle, we tried puzzle to, let's say, to join those pieces together. Probably we only have 3 parts to have a cat: the head, the body, and the tail. But for the bigger students, the older students, of course, they are doing the same thing. You can give them the same puzzles, but of course the puzzle is more complex, more parts and so on. A lot of more processes are involved before finally they use the synthesis level or the creating level of analysis of task, of assessment. Okay, I have a few more minutes left. I think it's okay because I'm coming to the end. So I'll be talking a bit about the some of the benefits of having this online test. Okay, the first one is save paper, save time, save money, and we don't have to assemble the students together, so logistics save and so on. And some say that it is actually more secure than the class exams because we can have the questions randomized. And also, I think for cases, for the concern just now, that whereby some of the students cannot take the exam at the same time, consider of giving them another kind of questions, another type of questions. So probably like, for example, in the current practice, in the final exam, we are asked to prepare 2 sets of questions, right? For this one, if we are going to do online, probably we also need to have 3 or 4, because the other one is that for those students who cannot be sitting or taking the exam at the same time with their other friends, they are going it at different times so that they cannot get information or answers from their friends who might have taken it earlier. But we also have pitfalls about online exam. It requires good internet access. It's not only internet access, it needs to be good. And the loading time also counts. If it is too slow, of course it is not efficient, then other problems will arise. And also it can't keep check on students, but our friends just now suggested to have the students videotape their activity while they are attempting these questions, they are doing this assessment. And also, even though we can do like auto grade for multiple MCQ items, we cannot do that for open-ended questions or essay type questions. Yeah, I think that's about all. I would like to take time for opinions, discussions, suggestions